So I want to ask you before we end this webinar, maybe you could share some of the memorable suggestions or some of the advices from Miss DeLay, from Isaac's turn. I know you were very close with Isaac, and you were fortunate to play concerts with Isaac and perhaps other wonderful musicians of that time. What there was something special. I'm sure you were able to, you know, to get from them.
I am just now when you were saying that, I was trying to think what I was really very lucky with my teachers. I studied with a wonderful professor in Jerusalem by the name of Shmuel Bernstein, who was a Lithuanian violinist by origin, who I think he ended up in Hamburg, and then during the war ended up as a refugee in Israel. And by the time I was studying with him, he was in his 80s, but he was just very passionate about music. But anyway, I had really wonderful teachers, Jens Ellermann and Miss DeLay and Hyo Kang, and so inspired, and Felix Galamir, and then you mentioned Isaac Stern, and I thought, one time Mr. Stern said to me, you should talk to Carl Schachter. I don't know if you know, Carl Schachter wrote many music theory books, and he taught, I think, at the Mannes School for a long time. And anyway, I couldn't quite reach Carl Schachter, but I met an incredible musician by the name of Eric Wen. And Eric is a violinist, but he really is a music theorist. He does Schenkerian analysis. And as a teenager, I think it really changed my life. It was it was a real passion for music, and it was really sort of talking about the grammar of this language. It's mostly tonal language. Schenker analyzes Bach and Beethoven and Brahms, but it also applies to more modern composers. So I don't know, somehow when you said that, I thought, maybe somebody like Eric Wen was such an inspiration. Somebody who loved music, and sort of maybe it was a different angle from violinist. He was a violinist, but it was a different angle from the instrument, and just thinking about this, this language. Okay, I'll one last story, but then I'll stop. But you remember René Morrel, right?
Oh yeah, he was an incredible doctor of all of our instruments.
At the Jacques Francais shop. And René Morel was very kind to me. I would come in, and he would say, with a strong French accent, he would say, Gil, you will be a very good violinist. Made me feel great. He said, you will be a very good violinist because you listen to everybody and you try to learn from everybody, and now I'm older. I know he was just in a very kind way saying, hey, you bratty kid, listen, he was in a very nice way trying to get me to listen. But I think that's true. You really can learn from everybody. Everybody has so much to offer, and music is a whole universe in the back of our heads. So, yeah.
Certainly, but there's some moments, especially when in our youth, I can definitely relate to some of my teachers who inspired me. But there's sometimes some like turning points in terms of the being aware of certain things or the way one should practice.
I see you thinking of some specific memory. Do you have a specific memory?
I have several ones. Just, it has to take another. But I remember one of my teachers. I have also a wonderful teacher back in Soviet time. And when you said that you played 10 times something or 5 times the concerto, I had one teacher who was already quite elderly man, and he lived right across from my house. And I would come before a concert. I would come to his apartment, and I would play a piece through. And then I felt like, you know, I already got, you know, a little bit over, you know, excited and nervous. And since he was very kind to me and he would, you know, encourage me, then I would go to perform, and I felt much more, you know, assured that everything is going to be right. And there was a tradition. Unfortunately, I just spent a little bit over a year with him. His name is Boris, but he was one of the most well-known teachers, especially for the younger kids. I was maybe 11 years old when I studied with him. It's one of the story. And another later one, when my dear friend and teacher Mikhail Bezverkhny, he introduced me to practicing without bow. So I would really imagine what kind of sound, even for the intonation, for the shiftings, for anything, just to be aware that it's something more mental than just a physical. And then you have to really find some kind of harmony. And the moment you anticipate what you're going to do, the moment you really engage your creative ability, your hand is going to listen. So from just mechanical repetition, I started, and it was crucial point for me when I was learning Paganini concerto and all that stuff, very virtuosic stuff, just to be aware that, you know, you don't have to repeat 100 times. You can just a couple of times just to find your relationship to the fingerboard.
Yes.
Without the bow, and then you check, especially, you know, with the long jumps, you check a couple of times, and then you don't worry about this anymore, because you start feeling the fingerboard in a different way. So those, I mean, there are many advices like the small ones, but they really make a huge difference.